And the next one, please.
Ordinance number 4395-16, an ordinance approving a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Urbana, Ohio and the City of Urbana Police Patrol Officers and the Fraternal Order of Police/Ohio Labor Council Incorporated and declaring an emergency.
Okay, council, this is a third reading. We need a motion to that effect, please.
So moved. Second.
It's a short one, I know.
It's the same explanation for both ordinances. So, again, we had 6 negotiation sessions with the FOP. This is a combined negotiation with the patrol officers and sergeants. We began the negotiations on November 12th. We concluded negotiations on December 17th. And the union ratified the contract on January 5th. So again, this is the first time that I know of that the police sergeant and patrol officer will bargain together. There's 34 plus or minus a couple sections, articles in each contract. And all the dust settled, there's half a dozen or so that's not impacted. Article 13 is the grievance procedure, where if there's ever a grievance filed, it has to go to arbitration. The old contract required that we build a list of 15 arbitrators. We change that from 15 to 7. You can't pick 7 out of 7, you're not going to get any better out of 15. Article 14 on wages and benefits, 1.25% increase each of the 3 years of the contract. Article 19, sick leave incentive pay. And this is very similar, it is identical to what we had in teachers, fire fighters, and fire captains. That FOP rep or member goes 12 months without utilizing a 6 day, they get a paid personal day credit to their account for use. Article 27 of the uniform fund is added $50 to the allowance, moving it to $900. We added language that identifies the uniform allowance according to the IRS guidelines, the way they establish what a uniform is. On the patrol side, Article 28, the education incentive plan. Historically, once the contract's agreed upon, all the members that are employed at that point would be eligible for any kind of compensation or degree. They get an associate degree or bachelor's degree. And what we did in this contract was allow future employees that they're appointed to participate. They don't have to wait until the next contract to be eligible. On the patrol side, Article 32 is the modification of the language under the business standards, which modified the language to reduce the threshold for patrol officer to pass the fitness test. It allows them to pass, but doesn't. The new level, the lowest level, does not allow them any kind of a bonus or a payoff for reaching that standard. But it does allow them to maintain eligibility in the program. It is a 3-year agreement. The final notation was, again, with this being the first time we negotiated both units together, there was some discrepancies in how the articles were numbered and how they were laid out. So in the final agreement, all the articles will be lined up with the same number. Any oddball articles that one group might have over the other will just be added at the end to help us as we work through the next time. We won't have to keep track of which number for which article. Again, it was 6 weeks. Everybody was very focused. I appreciate the attitude and the focus that the FOP, both patrol officers and sergeants, came to the table each station, ready to talk. We talked about the issues. We didn't get into semantics and sidebars. Everybody was focused. On our side, I know Matt and Chris, Leland, and I, again, we appreciate the opportunity just to stay with it, not let things drag out to where we weren't being very productive. So, good effort by everyone. I think it's a fair contract. We look forward to your approval.
Mr. Fields, questions?
Nothing. I just commend you guys on being able to negotiate those. It's something that's going to work for both parties.
Mr. Hoffman?
Thank you.
Mr. Paul?
No questions. Great job.
Mr. Scott?
No questions?
Mr. Thacker?
Great job. Thank you.
No other questions? Roll call on the passage of ordinance 4395-16, please.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Thackeray?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. And the next one, please.
Ordinance number 4396-16, an ordinance approving a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Urbana, Ohio and the City of Urbana Sergeants and the Fraternal Order of Police / Ohio Labor Council Incorporated and declaring an emergency.
Okay, council, this is also our third reading. Need a motion to that effect, please.
So moved. I'll second.
You'll say ditto?
Nothing to add, any other questions, or we have to try to answer?
Mr. Hoffman?
No, thank you.
Mr. Paul?
No, sir.
Mr. Scott?
None, thank you.
Mr. Thackeray?
Unless you want to go through it again. Okay. No.
Mr. Fields? Okay, roll call on the passage of ordinance 4396-16, please.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Thackeray?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. We have no second readings, but we have a first reading.
Resolution number 2411-16, a resolution authorizing the direct administration of the City of Urbana to prepare and submit final application to participate in the Federal Aviation Administration Airport Improvement Program and to execute contracts as required and declaring an emergency.
This is a first. Go ahead.
This is one of the ones that comes up every year. A couple weeks ago, Sue and I took a trip to Detroit and met with the FAA and a conference in with our consultant, Stan Dick, working through some old projects that still have some loose ends, trying to wrap those up and get ready for the 2016. We haven't got a confirmed date, more than likely it'll be the end of April or very early May. So here again, this is why last year we ended up having to suspend the rules to meet the deadline to try to at least get us through reading, and hopefully they'll be ready by the time we're ready. The projects this year have been identified as the taxiway C extension. If you're familiar with where the T hangars are on the southern side of the airport, there's a taxiway that runs to the west and it stops at the end of the T hangar. One of the challenges that we have, and one of the most common comments or complaints we get from local pilots as well as pilots flying in from outside is everybody has to come down into the main taxiway and head in towards the terminal. Then they have to taxi back. If you have a busy day, it gets real congested around the gas pumps. People come in to go to the restaurant. Pilots are trying to get to the T hangar. Trying to get a connection point somewhere along that taxiway C to allow people that they can bypass the congestion area. So our plan is to extend taxiway C in anticipation of our taxiway site around the future T hangar. We have an interested party who is willing, at this point anyway, he's talking to Lou about constructing a set of T hangars, and it'd be a land lease type thing, we get to work. Where he would build a T hangar, but part of the deal is we need to make sure that there's a taxiway or approach that airplanes can get out of the hangar and get out on the taxiway. So what we want to do is prepare the next set of taxi lanes or aprons for the next set of T hangars in this application. So if they build it, when they build it, we'll have will all be coordinated, so it's not one of those buildings they would come, or hopefully we're going to get it all happen at the same time. We don't want to get the cart headed forward. Those are the two items for this year's plan.
Mr. Hoffman, questions?
Yes, obviously we're voting to give you permission to do this. Is there a grant dollar that comes to this, or is this just money?
Typically the dollar amount is $150,000. That's the grant that's appropriated every year.
Okay.
Then we pay 10%. So we have to come up with 15,000, we budget that every year. So then there's some of the closures that we're working on, there's still going to be some money left over, so the FAA contribution will be less, then our part will be less. So 150,000 is what the typical annual grant allowance is for the grass field.
And then, as with anything else, once we do that, if we are awarded this, then we would vote to spend these dollars.
Yeah, we'll have to come back to
Right.
to get authorization to appropriate this money.
Which leads into a general question of why do we always have to give you permission to look for funding, and then we have to then bless the funding once we get it? Seems like a...
Way we have to get permission from you to apply, then we have to get authorization to spend the money. Yeah. Convoluted sometimes, but that's
Right. I've always noticed it that way. We're not really giving you permission to spend any money in this situation. That's all I have.
Mr. Paul?
We have a waiting list for T-hangers, don't we? As I recall, it's rough.
24 people.
Okay.
Waiting list for TA.
Okay, so best case scenario, assume everything falls into place, how quickly could we get these other T-hangers up?
Well, a lot of that depends on a lot of things, but,
Sure.
If everything was ready to go, say in June, theoretically, we could have all this ready to go in the fall or next spring.
So that would be a certain number, however many that is,
Yeah,
of,
it could be, depending on the configuration that he comes up with. I think currently we have a set of 10, we have a set of 12. There could be other configurations depending on who's paying the bill on the construction. So,
right,
he may not want all T-hangers, he may want a couple spots designed for himself.
sure. So we could potentially have a pretty good batch of new renters coming in, basically, is what we're looking at. So, okay, just to defray some of that cost. Okay, great. Makes sense, thank you.
Mr. Scott?
No questions.
Mr. Thackeray?
Me either.
Mr. Fields?
No question.
Okay. We'll declare Resolution 3411-16 to have had a first reading. And we'll see it in a couple weeks.
2411,
2411,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
that's right.
Thank you. Yay. The eyes are getting weaker. It's getting awful dark in here is part of the problem, but I'm not going to bring that up anymore, I promise, not till next meeting. That was our last ordinance and resolution. We'll move into miscellaneous business from the council. Mr. Fields?
Saving that soul. That's all I got to say.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yeah, I was curious if we could get an update on how many tickets have been written for not clearing sidewalks.
I don't know that any that I'm aware of.
I wrote 3.
So 0. Okay, just wanted to clarify. That's all I have.
Mr. Paul?
I move that we excuse Mr. Payne and Mr. Piper from this evening's meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of excusing our absent members, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Carrie, do you have the list of agenda items for the work session handy by any chance?
We'll have an agenda ready to go by Friday. There's only 2 items right now that I think we're planning on, but as you brought up, I sent an email out Friday, I think. There was some discussion at the last meeting about bringing the commissioners on board for that night. I think we have several things that are going to be pretty heavy over the next couple of months. I would just ask, if it makes sense, right, this is council's work session, that we postpone the meeting of commissioners until we get through a couple items that we need to work through, or think some things brewing that we need to get in front of.
Well, we had talked, at least tonight, a little bit about getting an update on the OEPA
We have
issue.
an update on the OEPA, we want to continue to talk about financing. I know the finance committee met with Chris, I think last Thursday.
Yeah, we met Thursday.
Subcommittee.
Yeah, we met Thursday.
This week, so
Yeah, we're meeting again Thursday morning at 8. We basically just kind of did a general overview on Thursday, just so Pat and I can get a little more
I would anticipate-
acclimated.
I would anticipate that subcommittee having some discussion with us at a higher level than we had the last meeting.
Okay.
Get
we had talked high level with Chris regarding the budget and finance and things, but I want to make sure we keep the hopeful potential extra officer on the front burner as much as we can. That's all I had.
Mr. Scott?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Thackeray?
I don't have anything tonight.
Over here. Chief? Nothing? Glad you're here. Good to see you. And your men are doing a fine job. Thank them for me. Todd, anything else? And from the law department, we have...
We have a 6-week update on how many cases we filed in the municipal court. We have, as of February 15th, 400 total cases have been filed in the court. Of those, Urbana PD filed 166. Sheriff's Office filed 113. State Patrols filed 77. Mechanicsburg 27. St. Mary's Police Department has filed 9. Division of Wildlife has filed 5. And the county prosecutor has had a total of 3 cases that were resolved, that initially were filed as felonies and got brought back here for resolved. So in terms of parking tickets, Urbana PD has had 5 filed in the past 6 weeks. So it's 6 weeks, and hopefully with the new software, I'll be able to update more frequently in terms of caseload that we've got going on.
Is that more or less than what you would normally see for a 6-week
Yeah,
period?
I'd have to look back at 2015 and 2014, but before I was only able to do annual reporting, so I'm able to break it down by month or by week.
That's it? Good. Mr. Berger?
A couple things. One is an update on community cleanup. We're still, I think we finalized our flyer. We'll have to see either the work session or the next meeting, so you'll have a copy of it. It's going to go into the March utility bill, so everybody will have that ahead of time. Right now, it appears people are starting to hear discussion around town, trying to get more detail. So we really anticipate this being, it's going to be new, but we think it's going to be successful. And we'll learn from this one, do the next one in a year or 2 or 3, whatever that is. We'll be able to catch any loose ends that we didn't anticipate this time. We'll have that flyer to you here shortly. Civil service, just an update. We finally made the final selection last week. Fire Captain Jason Croker selected as the new fire captain, replacing vacancy. Phil Kettler retired late last fall. I think you read the paper. We continue to work with the police sergeant process. We're continuing on that process. So 2 active things in the process. Just keep it moving, keep updated to get it. Go ahead.
Mayor?
I have nothing tonight.
Okay. I have a couple. We talked about the meeting with the commissioners. I have no problem putting it off. I wanted to talk about water quality in the county, and I saw in the Springfield paper that they had a new coalition forming with the farmers to help protect the water too, so I think it's important for us to start talking about that sooner the better, but we can put it off a month or 2 months. I'll call Mr. Faulkner tomorrow and let him know that got behind on a couple other items we need to bring forward. What do you want to do? I guess I'll ask the administration, where do you think we should be? Next month, the month after?
If I was that man, I'd say maybe move to April.
April? Okay, that's no problem.
If we could get a firm agenda, a couple, 3 items we want to meet with, rather than just meeting to talk.
Okay, that's fine. Any comments, council? Is that April fine with you?
Yeah, April's good.
Okay. What day in April is our work session? I don't have a calendar that goes that far ahead. I probably do, but I don't know how to get to it on my phone. Or my iPad, or whatever this thing is. I'll find out and call and set up for the
The 19th.
It's probably the 19th. yeah.
19th. Sound good to everybody? 6 o'clock here? Okay.
That'll be the 26th, I think.
26.
That'd be the 26th. That's what I thought too, but I thought 19th was early.
Almost the 4th.
Short month.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
My neighbor, when I was walking my dog this evening, asked if the city's mailing out tax forms this year. Have we ever in a long time?
We haven't done it for the last maybe 2 years.
They can come here and pick them up? Okay, I'll let him know that. On the purchase order list, did you guys see the purchase order list for January? Do you have any questions on that? Main Graphics is going to upgrade our map for the cemetery. Will that ever be online? So people can get online and...
That was our intent when we got the, we applied for a grant. We were able to get them to pay for the majority of this preservation. Our plan is to take a set of the maps, move to the library. And they're asking, we've been having conversations for the last year and a half at the library about getting more involved with genealogy with them. So they're anxious to get a copy of our current site maps, plot maps, so they can use them for genealogy. And I know Brianne, she's been having, I think you had a work study or not a work study?
Yeah, we really have to thank Jessica Carnes for Baby University because she was instrumental in getting some of the index card records from the older section of cemetery scan. So those are going to be available on CD at the library, that's wherever they get all that.
Okay. So they will be available at the library. I can tell these people ask me if it's ever going to be online. Okay.
We'll take the original, we'll keep back, and then we'll use the copy for our working copy.
Right.
So we preserve the original. Then one of the copies will go to the library.
Is there ever a chance that will be online?
I'm sorry?
Is there ever a chance that will be online?
I'm not going to say no, but right now that isn't our...
Technology's above us right now. Okay.
So you asked questions. I don't have a question, but I have a comment about one of the items on the purchase order list. Since we just spent $250,000 on an ambulance, and the second item on the list is another $3,165 repair for the ambulance. So hopefully they can get that built and we can get it paid for and get that thing in here, because this is just going to continue.
Well, I will share with you, I think it was the afternoon, Border Control met to approve this $3,100 expenditure. That morning, Maine towing came and picked up the squad, towed it out again. The company did call Mark, they said that any bill you get on that truck for that day, they wanted back the tow bill and all that. So I think we met with Navistar rep a week ago today, a week ago Monday, so it's last Monday, and the general manager from Rush Truck Center explained to Mark, Assistant Chief Keller, or Asper, and Captain Kirk. We met with them and explained the situation and where we're at, how we got to this point, and they understand our frustration. Mark and Jerry and Jeff explained how last fall they met with Rush Truck, talked to them about buying a Navistar International chassis. And for whatever reason, they weren't able to get a deal done because they couldn't hold the one we needed until we got into the new budget. The business decision they made, and they understand we have to make the business decision as well. One of the things that we all, I think, came away with is this isn't about, have no reflection on the Springfield plant, have no reflection on the employees at Navistar that live in our area. It's strictly a reliability issue, it's strictly a performance issue, and it's a business decision that the city has to make in terms of getting the best value we can for our tax dollars. And it isn't, again, it's not a reflection on employees down at the Springfield location. Some of the issues we're dealing with are issues that were developed somewhere outside of Urbana or the Springfield area. They were developed in their engineering headquarters, and this is the product that they designed to put on the market. And we're not the only ones that have had issues. They acknowledge that. So again, the decision we made was strictly a business decision. It had nothing to do with emotion. As much as we'd like to be able to keep driving internationals, we just can't. It wasn't the deal that could be made that day. So we will continue to look at that in the future. And like we do both, we always try to look at it, see what's the best value for the citizens. They're ultimately one, that's their money. So it's not, if I was writing a check out of my account, you can make whatever choice you want. So if you're writing a check out of the city account, you've got to make sure you're spending public money properly.
Does your wife know you're going to write a check for $300,000?
You can write it.
Who's Michael Berkshire? Maintenance at the airport?
Mike Berkshire, he's been out there, I can't even tell you, he's been there before I can remember. He's been a contract maintenance worker, and he works on some of the building repairs, field repairs, just kind of helps around the airport doing miscellaneous mechanical, structural facility maintenance. He's been out there for, I don't even get it, over 5 years, probably close to 10, 15 years, maybe longer.
A name I don't know. Of course, my eyes are getting bad. And the LUC, are we using them frequently anymore?
Yeah, absolutely, and I can't speak to the detail, Tyler, maybe put you on the spot. He might be able to.
I knew he would.
What we've been using it, but there's a nice article in the paper, I think last week, how the LUC has got a new designation, so we're working on transportation alternatives and transportation funding for the Champaign, Logan County area. I think they're going to be a little more ambitious, a little more aggressive on what they go after. They do help us routinely in developing plans, looking at different infrastructure improvements.
I hate to take up all the time, but I have had these questions. So, anything else, council? Anything else from the administration side? Clerk, Madam Clerk, do you have anything for us this evening?
No, I do not. Thank you for asking.
Okay. Mr. Fields,
I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
all those in favor of adjourning this evening's meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Spring's on its way.
I'm not saying anything.
I saw Robin. Yes. I've seen Robins.